Welcome to the Angel Face Halloween special. I'm really excited. We are here with my friend Suzanne. Suzanne was on the podcast last year, I think, or maybe 2020. I can't remember, but I will link that episode if you guys missed it in the show notes. So you can check it out. But to begin, I just would love to have you just briefly introduce yourself. And then today we're going to be doing some fun Halloween stuff. But I did not hear that sound. So will you play it for us one more time?
Oh, the sound? This?
Yeah, there we go. I was waiting on that sound and I could not hear it.
Oh, I didn't know what you meant.
Anyway, welcome y'all. This is my friend Suzanne. And let's get started. So Suzanne, will you just introduce yourself to us?
Hi, my name is Suzanne. I am a Karuna Reiki master and an animal Reiki master and a lover of all things dark and light and psychic and spooky and witchy and all things natural and just everything supernatural.
Yes. Yeah, I'm really excited. I asked Suzanne to do this with me because I wanted to do kind of like a fun Halloween centric episode where we could kind of talk about some aspects of mediumship that I think are a little bit almost sensationalized, like they're a little bit in the media, like things like talking boards and spirit boards and things like that. So I kind of wanted to talk to Suzanne about some of her personal experiences using these different tools. And then we're also going to do a really special, exciting healing meditation at the end for everyone. So I've been very excited planning this with you. But to start, I would just want to know, do you have a favorite Halloween movie?
Ooh. Favorite Halloween movie? Oh, it has to be Halloween. I think I saw it at the movies when it opened up. I think that's my favorite, I would say, because it's not, I love more fright, less gore. And in those movies, you don't see a lot of the gore happening. You see the aftermath, it's more the chase.
Yeah. So you were saying to me, like before we started this, what we were kind of talking about, when you look at a horror movie, it might not be actually that monster that's scaring you. There's like an underlying kind of energy or message connected to that movie for you specifically. Would you share with us what you said to me about why you might be scared of Michael Myers?
I have come to realize through my healing journey that Michael Myers represents love. And that I have a great fear of love, like real, like vibe love that some of us never get to experience. I really believe that that's what he represents. Keeps coming up. So it makes you step back and really think about your fears and how they present themselves to you. Because that had to happen. That was a cycle over and over that happened for me. It kept showing up on my Instagram. It would show up in certain cycles, and it really got me thinking about it. I also just recently watched The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, and there's so much in there, like metaphors of fear. If you really step back and look at the roles that people play in certain scary movies and what the fears are that makes them run. And I think that, when we really step back and understand that, they're easier to face and maybe slay.
And that's like really what we're going to be doing with our meditation tonight, is really like kind of focusing on, okay, we can be scared of this monster, but what is really, behind that mask.
And then, Halloween, there's a new one out this year and it's called Halloween Ends. And it's like that's it. There's no more Michael Myers movies. So who knows what that means to me? We'll see.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Very. I do want to say what another really great movie is, The Others.
I remember seeing that when I was a kid.
Because that's a movie you can watch and then be surprised and then watch it again with different eyes. And it's a whole different movie. When you watch it once, you watch it again as a different movie. So I really love that.
I like that movie too. I think for me, I like the classics. I love like the cheesy TV type of Halloween movies. I love watching The Worst Witch. Did you ever see that? It's like a made for TV with Tim Curry's in it. And he's so hot in it. As a little kid, I always thought he was hot, like in every movie, but specifically, in that movie and in Muppet Treasure Island for some reason.
I love that.
But I always like to watch that movie. But it's like I think as a kid, I really identified with that because she was like the Mildred, the witch character, was like not good at what she does, and she was like always late and like messy, and it felt to me like I identified with her, so I would always like to watch that. But I think the scary, and I've said this on my podcast before, but like the scariest kind of movies to me are like the demon kind of movies. And I think for me that comes down to control. Like I'm scared of the idea of possession because I don't want something like taking control of me. So that's my biggest problem, is like fear of letting go, fear of not having control.
And I think it's so interesting when you do start to look at scary movies and things like that from a different perspective, or you do enough healing work that you're not afraid of certain things anymore. I personally find that I'm not that afraid of scary movies anymore. Like everything doesn't even look real to me anymore. It's really interesting because watching the Haunting of Hill House there were some scary things that would have scared you. There was one jump scare in there that scared me, but like the scary, I believe we're conditioned to think ugly means scary.
Yeah.
And that's not true. When you can truly see, nothing is ugly and therefore nothing is scary anymore. It's been an interesting journey with that for me.
That's been a big thing with me with like beginning to connect further and further with like my clairvoyance and connecting with my spirit guides. Like one of the kind of things that came up around like not seeing them was like being scared that they would be ugly.
Right.
And then I would be scared of them and then I would feel bad. But it's like, it's interesting that condition in our mind. Like if something is not beautiful and aesthetic, like we're fearful of it. And like what even we think is.
Yeah. And that, right. And so once you get past that, it's really liberating.
Yes. So I'll have to watch the new Halloween.
I will too.
So I wanted to talk to you about some of your experiences with this. So just to explain to people who are listening, if you are unfamiliar with mediumship, there's different aspects of mediumship. So tonight we're going to be talking about what we describe as physical mediumship. So the idea is that we're basically connecting with spirit. So that could be your loved ones, that could be your higher self, your spirit guides. There's many different ways that we can connect, but we're using a tool or there's some kind of like physical evidence of spirit coming through to us. So one big example, I wore my Ouija board sweatshirt today, like Ouija board or talking board or like the spirit board. That's a big kind of tool that people use for physical mediumship. So you can actually see the board moving. Like when we're pulling cards, it's not technically physical mediumship. A card might jump out of the deck and we could count that as a physical like sign to us. But that's not really what we're talking about today. It's more about like different how do you say that?
Divination.
Divination tools that people have used for a long time. And I know you took a class where you got to practice a couple of different techniques. So I just want to kind of hear about some of those experiences.
I
don't know what the best one to start with is. So
I think the best one to start with is the one that every, well, listen to me, every little girl, so many girls, definitely in my generation, was levitation at birthday parties. Like that was the best thing about sleepover parties, that we could do levitation. And my experiences with that, in hindsight, the fact that I was a girl at the head telling the story about whoever we were going to lift up doesn't surprise me, that we could all stand up and put our hands over our head with this girl's body on our 4 fingers. I get it now, but at the time it really freaked us out. Birthday party levitation was everything. And there would be, the girl lay on the floor, we shut the lights off. You needed at least 5. So 1 at the head, 1 at the toes, 2 on each side. And we would tell a story of how she died. My favorite was like, she fell through the ice skating, and they couldn't pull her out in time. And then you say she's light as a feather and thick as a board. And we're going to count to 5. And we're going to lift her up. And we would lift her up every time. And then usually who's ever getting lifted up opens her eyes and screams, and we drop her. That was but I didn't know at the time, like we knew what we were doing, but we didn't know what we were doing, but we were doing something, and it was really interesting. So that was like childhood stuff. And maybe I don't think I ever played with a Ouija board, honestly. I had an aunt who claimed to be a witch, but it was like a family joke. So, but I think she really is, but it was just played off that way. So about 10 years ago, I took a physical medium course, and it was 6 weeks. Each week we did one, divination. And there were things that 1 week was flame cards. 1 week was trumpet. 1 week was automatic writing. 1 week was spirit board. 1 week was table tipping, and 1 week was channeling. And it was such a great experience. And I hadn't done a lot of healing work on myself. I wasn't doing any Reiki or anything like that.
How did you get interested in taking this class?
There was a woman that had this place where she would do like angel readings and things like that. And I just used to go and I did
like a new age shop kind of thing where they sell candles and stuff.
It was not really a shop. It was more of a place where she held events. So she would have like John Holland came in and did spirit reading, and she'd have different people come in and read and call in spirit for people, those like John Edward does.
Yeah, like a medium, a platform reading is what they're called. Connecting
with your loved ones, that kind of thing. She would do events, more of things like that. So she offered this one course, and one of my friends was like, "Hey, do you want to do that?" And I said, "Okay." Very open to it. Didn't really know what I was getting into. So we did flame cards and
before that, sorry to interrupt, but I need the details.
Okay.
Before that, did you ever do a mediumship reading with anyone? Or have you ever done mediumship before you took the class?
I had gotten my cards done. I dabbled. I've had really good readings in my life, really accurate. But you get them when you need them.
So you were familiar with like the concept?
Yes. And more interested in it at that time. I was really interested in like learning mediumship, connecting with spirit, that kind of stuff.
Was this before you did Reiki?
Way before I did Reiki, yes. I definitely had the calling, but wasn't really sure where to begin. So I just jumped into whatever came my way. In hindsight, I wasn't ready for psychic medium work.
Yeah.
I just think since I've done all the healing work, I'm much more clear and I'm much more easier to connect with spirit. So each week we did one of these. There were six themes, and we did one every week. So the flame cards, I'll start with those because those are easy and those are fun. So you basically would take a postcard, an index card, and light a candle, and you hold it over it for just a short amount of time and let the flame of the candle leave like a shadow burn. Like, don't light it on fire, but just put it close enough that it
just like the marking.
Yeah. So we each did two, and they were so different. I think one of mine was I had one that looked like three people.
There's one I know you showed to me a long time ago.
I think that was the one. It was it looked like three people, women with like almost like a head veil on. And then I had another one that looked like a snake. It came out like an S. Some people would put the card on, get one thing, and then put another one and get nothing. It was really an interesting thing, and anybody can do it. It's just need a candle and some index cards. So that was interesting. You might get something that looks like a word, and then you kind of read. So it's I guess it's a little clairvoyant, right? Are you using your sight? You're looking at it and I get
interpreting the symbolism.
Yeah. Or interpreting like how the light, I look at light and shadow on reflecting on things. You can see so much sometimes. So then we did another week of trumpet. Trumpet is something that they did in the Victorian time. These were kind of like Victorian parlor games. They felt very past life to me as well.
I was going to say, I feel like something has come up around that trumpet before with you in like a reading that I did for you.
I think it did. Yeah, I think you're right. That might have been how we started talking about it.
I can't remember. That probably was. But yeah, basically this was kind of like late 1800s, early 1900s, like New England kind of what is it called? Spiritualists movement.
Yes. And I do believe in my past life, I was really involved in that. I even said to the girls that I was with, I said, I think we did this in a parlor and drank whiskey out of teacups. I really felt that we had like a little secret, men have their cigar rooms. Well, we had our parlor and whiskey teacups.
Well, and it was kind of the first one. What I think is really interesting, like mediumship in that time was kind of the first position that a woman could have to earn income or make money. Like they were allowed to be a medium and take money for readings, which there's not a lot of jobs they were allowed to do.
No, and it still feels really secret to me though.
Oh yeah, definitely not like listed in the yellow pages. Right?
No, people were still so judgy.
Yeah.
So trumpet was interesting because.
Yeah, can you explain to us the process?
Sure. So we all sat around a table, and so each of these subjects to have divination, we had the lead teacher was the psychic. You have to have like a psychic to, I guess, ground the whole process. So the teacher was the grounder. And so she just did an opening and called in spirit, and she's holding this trumpet, and it's shaped almost like a trumpet you'd see on a Christmas tree. It's almost like the things that people would put in their ear if they couldn't hear.
Like a little horn.
Yeah, just a little like cone-shaped piece of metal. But it was it was rounded on the end, so you could put it up to your ear. You put it up to your ear. So she would kind of let spirit guide her hand across to the table, and we passed it. And then you could be holding it, and everybody would put it up to the ear. That was the process. So she'd hand it over to one person. They'd put it up there here if they're guided to, right? And everybody was guided to. and you could either hear or not. I did hear something. I heard a little like, you could hear something in there. I also feel it's something that you have to keep doing regularly to build the connection with it.
Yeah.
So, maybe if you do it every week, in a month, you'll hear it very clearly. So she'd pass it along the table. And then it got back to me, and sometimes you leave the table with it. It would pick you up. It would like lead your hand over and you'd have to get up.
Like you could feel the energy moving.
Yeah, it would almost like float your arm around, bring you here. And then, so what was interesting was the beginning of that class, there was a conversation I had with somebody about buying oracle cards for my nieces. And I was looking at them, and it was right off to the side of the table. And I was looking at them going, oh, I wonder which ones I should get for her and which ones should I get for her. So when it was my turn with the trumpet moved my hand, moved me off the table, took me over to the card section and pointed to 2 decks. And I said my niece's name, and it pointed to one, and I said the other, and it rolled my hand to another.
Wow.
And I did it one more time just to cross T's and dot I's and go, did that really just happen? And it was the same. And then it sat me back down. We couldn't get like a clear message through the ear.
But you could feel it.
It was really interesting. So that was 2. And then the spirit boards were interesting because we didn't use a traditional Ouija. She had all different ones. I have one, I have like an angel board. Doreen Virtue put one out once upon a time.
Before days.
The before days.
Before Jesus.
I still have it. I bought it on eBay.
That's probably worth a lot of money now.
It's not even open.
Save that.
I have a psychic board. She had little different boards that were the same idea of a Ouija board, but some of them were zodiac themed. They were interesting.
It's basically like using letters to ask yes and no questions, or using a tool to ask yes or no questions, and then there's letters so you can spell out specific things.
Yes, and then people, like when messages came in with the zodiac one, they'd come in, oh, it's a Leo, it's things like that. That was interesting. So we tried the 3. We had like 3 turns. She had like 6 boards. And there was my husband's grandmother came through to me, and I had never met her before. But she was somebody who I always felt was around me in spirit when my kids were babies. And, if I was having a hard day, I just always felt her. And I would say, I didn't know her, but I feel like she's around me. And she came through, and his grandfather had recently passed, and she said he was away at school temporarily. And then I asked her to validate if she was with me, helping me, supporting me. And she said yes, which I thought was so interesting. So that was a really nice message to get. And I was also told to drive a little slower on the highway. Yes, on the highway in the snow, drive a little slower. So that was fun. And then
how were the other people in the class? Like, did they have experience with this, or was it kind of like a mixed group?
It was a really aligned experiences. I don't remember a lot of them specifically with that particular one, because a lot of the time, I was so in awe of the messages I was getting.
Yeah, you weren't like paying attention to what everyone else was doing.
Right. I probably would be as much in awe now because it's so much a part of, more of my life than it was then. But it was very cool. She never did the class again either. I wanted to do it again because it was fun. She
never did it again?
No.
Oh, that's interesting.
It was the teacher, I think, moved on, but we did automatic writing. Have you ever done automatic writing?
Yes.
You have? That was really cool. Except we did it on did you do it on a big piece of paper?
I will do it a lot in like my journal and stuff.
Yeah, I do that.
That's
Have you
like how
done-
I started doing the light language stuff.
I can see that. Yeah, I do. I think we do more automatic writing, like doodling, than we actually realize. This was with
Yeah,
a-
just explain the process to anyone who's never done it.
So we used a planchette, which is kind of, it's almost like what you use for a Ouija board, but you can put a pen in it.
Oh, cool.
It has a hole and you put a pencil in it and then you put your hand on it. So the pencil's coming up between your finger and you're
Oh,
on
whoa.
rolly. So she put a big piece of paper out and you just let
That
your
sounds
arm go.
fun.
And I got a message that said, "Dear sister, I love you." And I felt like it was somebody from a past life, clearly, because my sisters aren't past. And then the teacher asked for a name and she said Willow.
Mhm.
So that's kind of an old name. You know, it's not, you could probably attach it to some period of time. It's not a very common name. So I feel it was just a sister from a past life, but it was a nice message because I always felt like I did have sisters that were kinder in other lives than I had in this life. So
Mm.
I felt that was it was a message I needed to hear at the time.
It could
was
be
great.
healing, for you.
So, but yeah, to have all that. So dear sister, I love you, Willow. Like my hand was like, because they were
Wow.
big. It was a big piece of paper. It was very, very cool. Everybody was like,
I've never done it like that. That's so cool. I usually just do it with a pen, regular pen. But
Yeah.
that's really nice, I think, for beginners, because it's easy to like not trust yourself and be like, am I just writing this? But if you're literally not holding the pen, then how can you explain that?
yeah, and in experiencing all these different divinations at that time, you make such a good point that it's not that you don't trust yourself, you just have to like learn and connect and trust your intuition. So when you don't, to have all these things happen, like, so, your arms are always floating. You floated with the trumpet, floated with on the board, floated, and even the cards, that was magic.
I would liken it to like if anyone's never experienced this one, you can and just try it. But I would liken the sensation to like if you ever done this when you're a little kid, you stand in the doorway and you press your arms really, really, really hard against the door frame, and then you let go and you're just like arms go up like you without any control, like you're not moving your body. Like that's how it feels. Like you are not moving your body, like your body is moving, but it's not like an internal force that's moving you where that might feel scary. It's just like you're floating, like you have no weight, like the gravity is just taken out and you're just moving like a little.
That's exactly how my arms.
Ragdoll.
Yeah, or sometimes when you get massaged, they do it and
they just take your arm and scoop you around. Yeah.
But you're really doing it. They're not really, you're guiding them, but it just doesn't seem like that. That's exactly how it is.
Yeah, and it's not scary. It can be scary, but like I think it's all about the context. Like if you're doing it with your friends in a sleepover, like you might get a little spooked out. But if you're like taking a class and you're taking it seriously and you're setting this space like intentionally, there's nothing to be scared of. Either way, there's something to be scared of, but it's like our mind can play tricks on us.
Oh, yes, it can. What was the next one? Table tipping.
I've never done this. I really want to.
I'm obsessed. Okay. The woman her name's Teresa Lally. She actually wrote a book on it. You can get it on Amazon and it tells you how to do it all. And
Wait, will you spell it for me or send it to me and I'll put it in the
Yeah,
So if people
I'll send
wanna
you the
look at
book.
the book.
Yeah, I will. I did practice this often. I did the Ouija board and I did table tipping with these two friends for a period of time after that. And we can talk about that in a minute. So table tipping is another one of those Victorian parlor, divinations. You sit around a table, you can sit with, I think the smallest I've ever done was 4. And I think the largest I've done is 12. And it has to be a pedestal style table,
So
with
what
just,
does that mean?
so it's a round table. You wanted to use a round table.
Oh, with the just one leg.
And the one leg so that when it tips, it doesn't fall over. And there's a psychic medium that calls in spirit. So table tipping is a lot like the trumpet. You just have to keep doing it. You have to energize
The tool.
table. So the more you do it, the better it gets. I've only been able to do it personally with these other 2 people. Like we made it jump a little bit, but I think I could probably, I still have my table. I did buy a table at like an antique store, and I haven't tried it, but I'm pretty sure I could work with it. Like, if you, me, and a couple of people we know got around it, we could probably move it almost.
That table will be in
I
New
think that-
Hampshire.
I really would like to try that. So you sit around the table, she calls in spirit, she sets the tone, and the table just starts, it just will like tip a little, just a little, like almost like hop. And she'll ask, who are you here for? So the table will tip. And when it starts tipping, you start saying the alphabet, A, B, and every tip is a letter, C, D, and then say it's D, and it'll stop, won't tip again. So we'll go D, and then it'll tip one more for yes. So you have a yes and a no and a letter. And you kind of play Scrabble with this table, and you get messages. I've had really incredible experiences. In October of 2019, I did a 4-person table. And my dad came through, my old boss came through. It was October. That's the month of my birthday. They told me happy birthday, that I would be working in a big room like 11 on Stranger Things. So I think it was Reiki.
Oh,
And
like to move something with your hands.
Yeah.
Telekinesis.
Yeah, like 11, big room, which, I just think it's really the city is the big room. But I had, so my dad came through first, and he hugged, the table came to me. It was almost sideways, and just sat and sat and sat. And Teresa was like, we knew it was my dad because he spelled his name. And he sat, it was like 2 minutes. And she's like, he's so hugging you. Like, he hugged me for so long. It was with the table. I had a guide come through that I had never met before, somebody that was a living person before, and that I was not aware that he was a guide of mine.
A spirit guide.
Yes, he was my guide for, I think, psychic mediumship. He was actually a spiritualist from England, very famous one.
Oh, really?
And yeah. And this was the fall of 2019. And
that's right. That's before, I think that's right before I met you.
Yes, it was before we did the glow up. And so the messages now, I can look back and see they were letting me know there's some stuff coming. And the pandemic started right after that, a couple months after, within 6 months. So I thought that was interesting. But
do you have any videos by any chance?
Of table tipping?
Yeah.
No, I
wish. I was like, oh, then you could send them to me. I post them on the Instagram, but oh well. We'll have to practice sometime.
And the last one we did,
I bet I can find like a video I can share with people so they can see what it looks like. But it'd just be cool if you had one.
It is so cool if anybody has the chance to do it. Like, even if you look up online, there are a lot of people that do it. You'd be
I
surprised.
should see if there's someone in my area that does. I want to try it.
It's really a great experience. So fun. That first tip, if you've never done it, is wild. I still, like, as much as I know what's real and accept all of this, it still leaves me in awe because it's a physical, it's spirit moving a heavy table. But
And
it's
that's
all
what's so
energy.
crazy about like the physical things. It's like, yeah, you could get crazy messages and clairvoyant visions, but to see something literally move, that's like next level. It's just like harder to accept things when they're just like in your mind, but to see it in front of you, it's like, okay, there it is.
Yeah. And it's the more it's the energy around the table that makes, it move, our energy.
The energy of the people, yeah.
And we found, like, when we laughed, like, there's a lot of laughter when you do table tipping. Like, it's just the energy, and like things come up and everybody gets giddy because it does turn into like a pajama party.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like, I feel like the reason those things work so effectively is like because it is a more like light, like you're playful, you're having fun, and spirit likes that energy.
Yeah, and
At
so,
least in my opinion.
like, remember in Witches of Eastwick when she fell from the stairs and she was falling, and she's like, her friend yells, "Laugh," and then she starts laughing and she floats, and that is true.
Oh, that gives me
So-
chills. That like very much aligns with a message that I got the other day
Oh, I love that.
about like, yeah, just letting the energy flow through you so that it's almost like you're grounded on earth, but you're lifted still.
Yeah, and you can
I
lift
don't
the
know how to
table.
explain it perfectly.
So we would laugh, and that just would even generate more energy. It's a really good experience. It's not scary at all. I did have that was Trumpet. Merlin came through during Trumpet as a
That's
guide, and
interesting.
he flirted. He flirts. He was very much a flirt. You could feel his flirtiness with the ladies. It was really funny. And then the last week we did channeling. When they brought somebody in for this. This kind of freaked me out at the time. It wouldn't have freaked me out now because I wasn't expecting it at all. So they bring this lady in who channels, and then she asked anybody wanted to volunteer, which I didn't at the time. I'm not sure I would now either, because you have to literally like leave your body and let somebody else come in and use it as a vessel. And I'm not that kind of girl.
Yeah, it just depends on the type of channeling. Like you could, if you're trance channeling, well, like Suzanne is saying, like the spirit is coming through you, but you could also, like what I do is like, I'm like a medium in between. So they'll tell me stuff and I'll tell you rather than them actually taking over the body,
Yeah,
which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But if you don't know what you're doing, then it can be negative. It can exhaust you, or things that you don't know could come through, or, you need experience to be a trance channel.
Yeah.
I think.
So this lady brought through a Native American. She brought through an angel, and she brought through an alien.
Oh, really? My friends.
And it was fascinating. The angel so her eyes were closed. So she sat in front of us, and we all sat, in rows. There's only 10 of us maybe. And she would close her eyes. So she said, my eyes will be closed the whole time. So I'll be talking to you like with her eyes closed, which is it was a little creepy. So the Native American came through. I remember the way that felt. That's the one thing I remember most is how it felt when each entity came.
Like the voice.
No, her voice would change with each one, but you could feel the energy of what she was channeling. When it was an angel, it felt like so safe and so light. And she even said, don't be like, her voice changed. She talked like this, like she talked like an angel, you know? And then when the alien came in, I laugh to this day because I was like, whoa. She would speak, you know,
Do you
English.
remember what kind of alien it was by any chance?
I don't, and I don't think it was identified as where.
It was just like
What
an alien.
But in between words, it would go. She talked. So it was
That's so
hard to.
funny. It's hard to
It was
take
a
it seriously sometimes.
And it was a lot to kind of, well, what is happening? And is this really real? You know,
I think that some people are not legit, but I think there are definitely real ass channelers. But I think there are some, I don't know if they know that it's not real or if they, there's some people that I'm like, I don't know about that.
There's a lady on Netflix on that. There's a show that they did like about if you die, I forget what it's called, but there's a lady on there that channeled and she was a fake and they revealed her as a fake. I knew she was fake when I watched it before they revealed it. I was like, well, I believe that's on purpose. But so a friend of mine.
I went to a channeling event one time and they channeled Archangel Raphael in like a Arcturian alien thing. And it was really powerful. But the woman's been like a psychic for like 30 years. So I feel like it's like you have a lot of experience and then you could maybe start playing with these things. Because I feel like otherwise it can be hard to discern one, what is like a beautiful positive energy, but also like what the actual messages are.
I agree. So my friend got up as the volunteer.
Oh, really?
Which I thought was kind of ballsy because, you know, we're just dabbling and having, you know, fun.
Yeah.
And I got a little uncomfortable with it, watching her. The breathing when she left her body and something was trying to come through and it didn't come through all the way because, you know, it's her first time doing this.
Yeah.
And her breathing, the way her breathing was, it was making me uncomfortable. It's giving me anxiety, honestly. And they brought her right back. She was like sitting on the beach. They kind of put her in a meditation and sent her to the beach and then called in something to use her body. And it couldn't quite come through, but it tried. So I think the trying part was what was stressing me out a little bit because it seemed like her breathing was labored and it was real because she's never done that before. And I know she wasn't faking it, but it was a very interesting experience. I would love to do it again. I did have a moment one of the weeks before class. And that was the things that happened. Like there are little things that happen before class that would come full circle later in whatever we were experiencing. And I had a spirit at my house at the time of a little boy. And my son used to see him. And I worked with a shaman to kind of figure it out. And we got his name. His name was, I didn't get his name. She told me about him though. He was there to teach the kids, you know, he's not, doesn't want to leave, but he's not going to bother anybody. Like he's just there to have fun. I could tell when the kids would play with him. I knew when he was around. So I walked into the class. It was a week that we did the flame cards and started talking about it. And he came through and told me his name. His name was Peter. And he came through during the class. I was telling my teacher about the beginning, and then he came through. I forget how he came through now.
Peter is one of my guides' names.
Oh, interesting.
And he's also a young boy, but I don't think it's the same boy, but it's apparently my brother from a past life.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this kid was like the things that my kids used to create with Legos. They would create cities. I could tell when he was around, when his energy was around.
Like influencing the energy.
Yeah. And it was just fun and sweet. And, you know, my 8-year-old could see spirit too. Like he saw him a couple of times, but it was nothing scary. Just there to teach. But yeah, divination is, I have crystal balls here today with the pendulum. I have a spirit mystic eye board that I use with the pendulum. And then one other thing that I did in Salem was tea leaves. Have you ever had your tea leaves read?
I have not. I have not. I was like trying to remember. Have I done that? I don't think so. I want to though. I've
Yeah.
done my coffee. I've done a coffee reading myself, but I've never done like gotten it from someone.
Those are fun. It's all, clairvoyance, seeing little pictures, and there's a system to learning it. That's fun too. But scrying crystal balls is fun.
Yeah, let's just briefly explain, like, so if someone was to scry, basically they're using a tool to gain psychic information. So for most people, it's going to come through like in images, in symbols, or like shapes and things like that. People who are more like clairaudient, like I am, like I might look at something, but I might get a message, like an audible message, or like in my mind, rather than like I'm seeing things. But basically, like you could use a crystal ball, you could use a flame, you could use a crystal. Suzanne, I know we talked about on the last podcast you were on, like you'll get a lot of messages in light and shapes like that are created through light and photographs. So if you guys want to know more about that, you can listen to that episode. But we wanted to do kind of like a little demonstration. But if there's anything you want to share about the crystal balls or any like thing that you like to do with them.
The crystal balls I bought, it's one of those tools that you need to keep work on it regularly. There's a process to putting them away. I have a little purple satin.
Yeah, you
cover.
don't want to keep them in the window because you could light a fire.
They're so pretty. I love them. I use 2 for decor. I have 3, and they're all different sizes, but the one that I use for scrying is always covered.
And if you guys are watching the video, you're going to see them in a few minutes. And I will post a picture to Instagram for those who are listening.
And, I used to sit and stare. You have to put you put something under them. So because light reflects and the light has to be just right, you have to consecrate them like you do tarot cards. I think it's with the Monday of a new moon. There's a whole process in really caring for your crystal ball. So I've done that. I just haven't used it a lot. It'll be interesting.
Have you ever done it in a mirror?
No. With the crystal ball?
No, just scrying into the mirror. You can call spirit forward, or what I've done with it is like healing stuff from past lives or like inner child stuff. But basically you're looking at yourself in the mirror, but you're looking in the mirror, you're looking into your left eye with your left eye and just staring at that. And then you could have a meditation or something to prompt you, or you're just kind of asking different things to come forward. So you could ask like your spirit guide to come forward, and then basically your face it feels like you're on psychedelics, like your face shifts and you can see yourself as different things. So I've done it for inner child healing, and I'll see myself as a child in the mirror, and it's very interesting. But you can use a mirror, but traditionally people use a black mirror to scry, so they'll just paint it black. Also our phone is a black mirror, so that kind of is scary to think about. But you basically just paint a mirror black, or people will use obsidian or what is it called? Jet, just solid black stone
or black tourmaline.
Black tourmaline is not as good because it has more texture to it.
Okay.
But like this one's garnet, you could use that. You could use clear quartz, but something like that's textured, like a black tourmaline, is not as good because there's like already shapes kind of in it.
I have looked at myself in the black screen of my phone a few times and seen things, but I'm like, oh, I wish I could take a picture of it, but I can't because I got to turn the phone on to do it.
I know.
Yeah, mirrors.
So you kind of want to protect the space first because anything
Yeah.
could kind of come forward.
Well, that's the one thing. Like, do not do any divination without preparing space, protecting your energy. There's a whole process to doing all of this. Like when I dabbled with the Ouija board with my friends after this, we did like a weekly thing. There was holy water under the table, silver on the board, just so much protection. There's a right way to do this stuff. Nobody should ever do it without preparing properly. That's one thing in the table tipping book that I'll send you, that's a whole book on how to prepare, and it's great. But
Yeah, and I think it's not like, I don't want people to hear that and be scared, but it's more like just a proper protocol. Like,
yeah,
you're not going to just have a house party and say literally everyone in the whole neighborhood could come to my house. You're going to invite specific people to come to the party. So you can invite your guides, you can invite your angels, your loved ones. You're not going to just be like, anyone come, because you never know who's going to come. There might be some fucking weird people that you don't want to come.
I used to say it's like leaving your front door open. You can leave your front door open, you're going to close the screen. You can have a screen door, or are you just going to open it up and walk right out the front door and let anybody in your house? No, you're going to put a screen up. You're going to let them have them ring the doorbell. And it was interesting because we would make appointments. We would put it on a schedule. We'd say, okay, we're going to do it on the 10th. And we would, at this time, there was a couple times where we did it last minute, and it always made me uncomfortable. I don't know why. It just did. And when we did the last minute board readings, we would get such random spirit. But when we made, 2 weeks out or whatever, we would get family, we get very specific people come through. It was so interesting. I'll tell you a really funny story. One week we had we had some guides. Each of us had a guide show up, but except we didn't really know it at the time. And it was like, what do you help me with? And it was, one was like love to one of them. And the other one, it was all romance based. And then it was my turn. And I go, what do you help me with? And the board spelled out BJ's, BJS. And I'm like, BJ's?
Oh my God.
Yes. And
hilarious.
My friend was going away with her husband, and she got, she was getting, she might have even gotten the word sex. So and they knew you're going away, you're going to New York, you're having a really fun weekend. So we were asking them, are you like our sex guides? And they were like, yes. And we were roaring laughing. It was the funniest. It was really fun and light. But yeah, BJS.
That is so funny. And like sometimes they will fuck with you. Like if you start creating these relationships with spirits, like, yes, some of your guides might be very like serious, but at least for the ones that were once human, like they were human too. Like they think things are funny. And I feel like I'll get that a lot too with family members that come through, not necessarily mine, but like for readings and stuff, like they'll make a joke and I'm like saying something and the person laughs, like the joke was for them, like I didn't know it was even a joke, like, but they just, the way they communicate is really dependent on who they were as a person
and the energy that's sitting at the table as well. I remember a random neighbor came in, somebody that doesn't normally do this, who was very skeptical. And it was one of those last minute weeks with not the regular threesome. Because I personally wouldn't do less than 3 at a board. Just that's my personal rule. And this person came in skeptical. She wasn't normally there, and something came through, and all it would do was spell H-A-H-A-H-A, ha, 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 ha. And I was like, I'm out, I'm leaving. I'm
You're
not
just fucking
comfortable
around.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm out, and I left. I don't play like that. So that that was it's a good experience, but I communicate in different ways now. I don't do so much physical mediumship. It's a good place
I think
to start.
you do though. You do the photos
You're
all
right.
the time.
The photos I do, it's just more like the board. I do this.
You don't
board.
need as many tools now. Like,
Exactly.
and especially since you do Reiki and like you open up in so many ways with your own like intuitive gifts, like you might not need the tools as much. So, but it still can be fun. So, but it's like if you're getting used to doing readings, either just for yourself or whatever, it's like you can build up kind of your own language that at a certain point you really don't need all the other stuff.
Right.
But I think it's a great way to really show to people, like the skeptical people or the curious people, like what is possible.
It is. And it's a good way to build your
Confidence.
intuition. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the confidence. Because when you don't use the tools is when you're actually a little more advanced. So I'd like to use the board. The board I got, it's called the Mystic Eye. I actually got it on eBay. Somebody made them. They don't sell them anymore. It came from it says for entertainment only.
Entertainment purposes only.
It's nice. They call it a game. And sometimes, you use your pendulum with it. Sometimes you have just these little fabric rolls of letters and yes and no, and kind of looks like a Ouija board. You can get them at just new age stores.
You guys can make them too. Like
Yeah.
It's very easy to just, like I've taught this to my students a lot, but like you just have a piece of paper, put yes and no, and then you can put a whole alphabet on it.
Yeah.
And you can use that. And sometimes too, if it's like you made it, it's like your energy. And if you have that positive intention, rather than like a random thing you got. But you can clear energy. So I bought a Ouija board off eBay, I think, or Etsy, I can't remember, but I cleared it and stuff before I used it.
I bought a Ouija board. The Ouija board that I used with my friends, I actually gave to one of them. I was like, I don't want this. But I didn't know how to clear things like I do now,
Yeah.
It's really important to really understand the process before you just jump in it. That's why we have so much fun at birthday parties when we were in 5th grade, because we didn't, and got freaked out. But the pendulum is a divination tool that I do enjoy. I'm curious what you think, Grace. Do you feel that this is your higher self speaking to you? What do you think?
Through the pendulum?
Yeah. Do you think it's spirit? You think it's your higher self? I think
it depends. I think let me ask. But to me, it's like if I were to do it for you, it would be your guides or spirit or whatever, rather than mine. Like if I'm asking for you or for a client or something. But for me, it just feels like inner source, like it's me, but it's like the me that knows everything rather than human Grace. So I don't know if that's higher self or whatever you want to call that, but it's like, I don't think it's something outside of me, but it's like the me that doesn't have bias. Like if I'm like, should I do this or that? Like I'll think, oh, well, I'd rather do that. But I don't have any of the opinions in place when I use it. It's like a blank slate. But I don't think of it as like like, I don't think a spirit comes through and talks to me through it like a board or like channeling. It's like me, conversation with me. Does that make sense?
It does, yes.
Is that what you were asking?
I think it's important to I've gotten pushed by the pendulum to just ask yes or no questions. So I think how you phrase it is really
Yeah,
important.
you can't be like, should I, or should, that was a bad example.
Right.
It's a yes or a no question, because you have to be clear. Versus like a tarot card or something, you can kind of be broad with your questions. You can't really get yes or no questions unless you've created a structure for yourself that indicates that. Like, this is specifically really for yes or no questions, because you can't ask like these long, broad things of a pendulum.
So what I do, I will ask that, just with this. I also use this at the end of a Reiki session.
To like check their energy.
Yeah, I go through their chakras. I open, clear, and close, and clear, open, clear, close. And it goes all the way up. It knows when to stop. It goes counterclockwise one way, and then it goes clockwise the other. And it knows exactly when to stop. It prompts me when to move on to the next chakra. It's pretty amazing.
And that's like a personal thing you've developed, like,
yes.
Because everyone's going to receive the information differently.
Yes.
So like for you, oh, if it goes this way, that means yes for me. If it goes this way, that means no, or that means whatever.
It's my own little blueprint of.
So it's like you want to establish those rules or whatever before you ask a question. So you kind of would be like, show me a yes, show me a no. Like if you've never used a pendulum before, so that way you know what you're looking for.
Yeah, your no might be my yes.
Yeah,
the way it moves.
Do we want to, is there anything else we want to share about that, or do we want to demo how to use it?
I'll demo. Before I do, I will say, so I asked the pendulum, would you work with me with Grace's podcast? I asked permission first because I don't want to overstep a spiritual boundary.
Yeah, and you want to make sure you're getting accurate information, all that.
Yes. And then even when I work with this just privately with myself, which I don't do often, I'm usually prompted. I get a prompt when it's time to just check in. So I'll ask, and then I'll ask, can we go to the board? Can we go to the board for another message? Or do you have a message for me that I can go to the board for? And they'll say yes. And then that's when I'll get a message spelled out for me letter by letter. And I'll say,
tonight you're going to do a message for me. And I also want you to do a message for the whoever's listening, our podcast audience.
okay.
But I want a message specifically for me.
Okay.
But yeah, I would like to share a little story before we start that. On the other side of Ouija boards, the not so positive side. But when I was little, I would play around Ouija boards a lot. And I've talked about this extensively, so people have probably heard me say, but as a child, I was very open psychically, and around mediumship, I would see a lot of spirit. And then I started playing with these things, and it really fucking scared me. And it really prompted me, to shut down a lot of my gifts. And through opening up, it has been a process to like heal some of those stories connected to like the Ouija board. That's why I bought this sweatshirt. I have like a piece of art in my office too that's like a Ouija board, and it's a whole story. I have a tattoo of like the demon face from The Exorcist, because I was so scared of that movie, because that's the movie that made me scared of Ouija boards. And I also had a friend as a kid who was raised Lutheran, and it made me very scared of going to hell because I wasn't baptized. So I kind of had this idea of like demons and possession, and like if you connect with these tools, something could come and take over your body. And that was scary to me, but it didn't stop me from doing it. But I remember I had a Ouija board. I bought it at like Walmart or something, and it was a glow in the dark one, and it was really cool. But I remember, I think I was probably like 14 or 15, something like that. And we had like my basement redone, like my uncle redid our basement. So you could like hang out down there, and me and my friends would hang out down there at night. And one night we were playing with the Ouija board, and I don't remember like exactly what we were asking it, but it basically told me this whole story. And I don't think this was like the truth necessarily. It could have been like some spirit trying to fuck with me because I didn't know what I was doing. But it was like this whole story about how my family had this spirit around us for generations, which also could be true because there is some like mediumship and stuff in my family.
Yeah.
So I don't know like which part was accurate, but it was scary. It wasn't, and I wasn't sure if it was scary because of my perspective or if it was actually like a negative spirit. But me and my friends got really freaked out, and it told us this story about how it's been like following us like throughout generations. It was like me and a couple of my friends from high school, and then my cousin. And it was like saying how it's attached to me and my cousin, and it like followed us around. But it was like, it wasn't trying to hurt us. It was like lonely, and it was trying to tell us stuff about our family. But I remember we got like so freaked out because all of a sudden the light started like flickering and turning off in the basement. And we had like those, like a dimmer switch type of thing. So it was like going on like low and high, like as if someone was messing with it. And at first I thought, oh, maybe it's my sister like coming downstairs, like fucking with us, but they weren't home. And the only people that were home were in the basement. So it really scared us. And I remember we just like stopped playing with the board, and we didn't shut it down. We didn't put it away. We were like, just threw it to the corner. And like for a week after that, I felt like super freaked out. And I remember I was getting like nosebleeds at the time. And for some reason, I was not connecting the like that happened. And then I was getting the nosebleeds, but I was getting all these nosebleeds for like a week. And when I finally realized, oh, maybe it has something to do with the board, I remember me and my cousin like shut the board down or whatever. We like went back and we were like, oh, we forgot to say goodbye. And we like did this whole thing. We looked up online, like how to close the board, and we closed it. And then I stopped getting the nosebleeds.
Wow.
So were they related? I'm not sure. But I was so young at the time that I think I just, I didn't know what I was doing. So I think it is important to realize like, okay, these are big things that we're messing with. Like, I don't want people to be scared. Like I was like, oh, I'm going to get possessed, like blah, blah, blah. Cause 99.999% you will not, nothing bad will happen to you. But it's really about like the process, being able to have opening and closing statements, being able to create a space for yourself. So if you're going to open up, whether it's with cards or boards or just in meditation, like you want to kind of have that intention. And it's not to block you from like dark things. It's just more like maintenance, like where you're going and who you're talking to. But yeah, I just wanted to share that story. My friend that this happened with commented on my Facebook, and I'm never really on Facebook, but I just have my page like automatically post on there whenever I post on Instagram. And she was like, do you remember what happened with the Ouija boards and stuff like that? And I got to send her a message back because I want to know if she remembers like more details than I do. But it reminded me of that story when I was kind of prepping for the class. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Do you still have the glow in the dark Ouija board?
No, I don't. I got rid of it when I went to college.
That's a good one.
But I have a new one that I bought, but it's an old 70s one. It's like vintage.
They are cool, but I have a psychic board that I've never used, but I have one, and it's in the Doreen Virtue Angel board, which I haven't used either. Just haven't got around to it, but I will.
Yeah. So tonight, I just want you. So what we're going to do is we're going to do kind of a brief demonstration of like how to use a pendulum. So if people have a pendulum or if they want to purchase one, you can also make one. It's very easy to make one. Like for me, I have this one. One of my students made this for me, and it has a little like circle, and those are really nice because you can put them around your finger so that you're not having to question whether or not you're moving it. But I also took this necklace out just to show you guys, like, you could have just a regular necklace with something heavy on it, like a stone or a coin or something. It could be a piece of string with a rock on it. Like, you don't have to buy anything, but if you want to, there's lots of cool ones out there. But
Yeah, and it's
Suzanne's
good to
gonna
get-
demonstrate for us.
It's good to get your energy into the crystal. So,
Yeah.
I always Reiki mine before.
Yeah, like and especially if you're using it not just for yourself, like if you're working with clients or whatever, you want to make sure you're like clearing it, like, so you're not just like holding everyone's energy.
And I always ask for, I call in, spirit, holy fire. I do God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, holy fire. And I ask for only the most accurate information from the highest sources of power. And I'll call in my power animal as well to wrap himself around, so that only truth can come through.
Beautiful.
So
I feel that in my back.
You felt it? I like
I
that.
feel it in my
So
back.
this is my pendulum. It actually has a little chip in it. I dropped it once. It fell and has a little chip in it, but it still works just fine. I've had it for a long time. It has just a little ball on the end of
Oh
it
yeah,
to hold.
so you have something to hold on to.
I had a mentor many years ago that gave me a necklace that I used to use. And she actually taught me how to do this. I got them for my kids too when they were younger. They still have them.
Oh,
They would go in the bathroom and be like, is Santa gonna bring me the Lego set? Yeah.
I love that.
Things like that. So the way I was taught to use it and the way that I use it after I call in protection and spirit, I always stand up and hold it so that the pendulum is around my solar plexus. So I'm not going to stand up, but you can see it kind of. Oops. It's already like, it's nice and warmed up. So I'll stand up.
We can see you if you're standing. We just can't see your head, but it's okay.
And then when you ask a question, can you please, I can just ask it. So I'm just going to ask it, just show me yes.
So it's moving back and forth, front to back.
See, it's getting bigger. That's a bigger yes. It's a clearer. When it really moves like that, that's a yes. Big yes. Okay.
And you guys can see in the video, like, Suzanne's not moving her hand.
I am right now, but hold on. Okay.
It
stopped
you
right
weren't
now.
when you were doing it though.
I know I wasn't. Okay. Now
And
show
they
me
do
no.
make like little arm thingies that you can put the pendulum in if you do not trust yourself to hold it.
So I'm asking it to show me no.
So it's going in the different direction now, y'all.
Right is no for me. And then you always please and thank you. Oh, thank you. You see that? Stopped. Thank you.
I love
So
that.
without the board, it asks a question. I'm just going to ask, I'm going to ask just a random, nothing personal. Okay. Is it going to rain tomorrow? So I ask a question as I get.
Just
all
move
the
your
way
other
down.
hand though for the video because then we can't see. Sorry.
It's going to rain tomorrow.
So I'm seeing yes.
It's yes. Based on how the yes is, I would say it's not going to rain.
Like a light rain.
Yeah. And then as I talk to it, it's moving more. So if I go light rain, it's going, yeah, it's giving me a bigger yes. That's how I'm reading this anyway.
Okay.
Thank you. See that stop just like that. Now I'm going to ask if
Yes.
okay. Is it going to snow tomorrow?
It's
Not
barely
going.
moving. Like a little bit of it now.
See it now?
Yeah.
Not going to snow tomorrow. And I actually think it is going to rain tomorrow. A little
Well,
bit
let me know.
in Boston.
Yeah, in Massachusetts.
That's how I ask questions. So
Yeah.
the next thing I would ask, so did you want me to ask a question for you?
Yeah, in a second. I just want to show people how I do
Okay.
it so they can see
Yes.
the difference, pretty much the exact same thing, but the way it moves is different for me. So you can just see the difference. Can you see it though on the
I
camera?
can see it really well.
Okay. So okay. So Spirit, can you give me some information? So I'm gonna ask Spirit with the pendulum, show me a yes. So see how it starts to move in a little circle? That's what happens for me, is it will move in a circle.
Look at that.
Okay, stop. See if it will listen. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, Spirit, show me a no. And now it then usually it goes back and forth for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, here we go.
Well, I just said that your no's are my yes.
Exactly. So then usually it will move like, and sometimes it moves like hella, and I know like, oh, that's like a fuck no.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, fuck
like I'm
no.
not moving my arms, like it's moving me. And sometimes it will like move my arms a
Oh,
lot.
wow.
But I think like to begin, it's like for beginners, it's nice to have your elbows like on the table or something. So you know you're not moving your hand. And then like I said before, like they do make on Etsy and places like that, like, and you could make one probably really easily, but like some kind of arm thing and the pendulum goes in it, kind of like with your board, how it could go like over the board and it just moves.
Oh yeah,
on its
I've seen
own.
people on TikTok. People on
Yeah,
TikTok.
I've seen them
use-
on TikTok too.
Yeah.
Where it just moves so that if you're still building your intuition, you're still building your trust with yourself, you can like really have it move.
Yeah.
But this one I like a lot because it does have that little ring in it. So I just put my finger in it and it's perfect because then I know I'm not moving. It's moving.
And you know, it's important to remember like what we ask, you know, not just what we
Yes.
ask, but how we ask it, but really what we ask, because, you know, Santa might not bring you the Lego set. If you ask, you know, if Santa can bring you a Lego set and it says yes and you don't get it, you know, you're already attached to an outcome. So that's one of the reasons I don't do a lot of this stuff anymore, because I don't need to know anything. I'm okay not knowing.
Yeah, it can become obsessive like anything with these kinds of tools. I think too, there was something I was gonna say. Where did it go? It will come back to me. I lost it. I don't know what it was. I was like, when you were talking, I was like, there's something important to say, but then it disappeared.
You'll remember.
Oh, that's what it was.
What?
I think it's good too for beginners to ask like questions you already know the answer to. So you could like say, show me yes or no, and then you could be like, am I Grace? Like, am I wearing a black shirt? Like kind of getting the yes confirmation of things you already know yes to, so that you can kind of feel what it feels like when you get the yes, so that when you ask questions that you don't know the answer to, it's easier to like trust yourself. This thing keeps getting tangled though.
So I said to you earlier, I do get prompted now and again to come on. Like if spirit's trying to tell me something and I don't pay attention, I think they move me to this because it's such a clear channel for me to do it. Because I get letters and I'll write them down. And sometimes I get gobbledygook. Sometimes I say, can you spell that letter by letter? Sometimes you get an acronym. I've just noticed the last few times I've used it, the last time I used this, I kept hearing a song called, it's from Silence of the Lambs, called something Horses.
Goodbye Horses. That
Yes.
woman died, Q Lazarus. She died recently.
saw
Is that what you were
that.
going to say?
Yeah. So that song kept coming on, and
I love that song.
I get a lot of messages in music. So when I heard that song over and over, when I had never heard it for ever on this Pandora station, I knew that I needed to pay attention to it. So I'm like, Silence of the Lambs. That's what this song is from, Silence of the Lambs. And I'm like, Silence of the Lambs. And then about a week later, I was prompted to get the board out, which it literally happens 3 times a year. I get prompted to do this. And I got the board out. And I asked, do you have a message for me that you need to spell out? Yes. And the message was, be the Lamb of God. And I was kind of blown away because the silence of the lambs, right? And then that message, I was like, okay. I just thought that was kind of wild. And so I know, and I did ask if we'd get a message. And so I know sometimes too, when I'm spelling something out, I'll see the word in my head now. And that used to not happen.
Yeah, like a visual.
So I have a visual.
Wait, so what does that mean to you? Be the Lamb of God.
Be a good human. Be who your authentic self. Be who you were supposed to be before society and, everything changes. We're born so pure and authentic, and we're conditioned.
That was what our last week's episode was about.
Was it?
Yeah, I did a meditation at the end. You can check it out, but we're connecting, like remembering your roots, connecting with your authentic self. And we did like an inner child healing kind of thing around that.
Yeah.
Like remembering who you were, who you wanted to be. And it was prompted because I saw what is it called? A bumper sticker the other day that was like, remember who you wanted to be. And it really like struck my heart.
Yeah. And with all the Reiki and the healing work, it's about becoming your authentic self. And that's where we are too in the age of Aquarius. So, be the person you were created to be before we got all mucky. So that's what I felt. And it kind of blew me away. Honestly, I wasn't expecting that.
I love that. Wait, I interrupted you though. Sorry. You were saying you got an image in your mind.
Oh, I see the words. Sometimes I know, like I don't even want to say it because I asked the pendulum, can we do Grace's podcast? Can you give a message to the collective? And I got a big yes. So I don't think it's going to be anything. I think it'll be something fun. It feels fun. Like right now, I can always tell it's fun. It'll be a fun message, whatever that means.
Well, whatever it has to be.
Right.
But no, you don't have to do a message for me personally, but I would like you to.
No, of course
if the board is open to it,
So, well, let's ask.
Yeah.
So let me stand up and ask. Would you be willing to participate in giving Grace a special message tonight? That's a yes, Grace.
Okay.
All right, so this is
I'm
when I
open
get the
to
board out.
receive. I just sat on something spiky.
So you ask, what do you want to ask?
What should I ask?
I know, I hate it. It's like, it's like the hardest thing.
I think that's hard for me because usually it's like I'll just be like, what do I need to know? But this is like it's like a specific question.
Well, you can, or you can ask, I can ask, is there something a message that you'd like to give Grace? And we can spell it out. You wanna try
What do
that?
you think I should do?
I think we should try to spell it out.
Okay.
I think it'd be fun.
So will you move the video so we can see the board?
Yeah.
Okay, so now everyone can see the board. You can know what we're
So
talking
I
about.
want to be able to, I don't know if you can see it. I'll try and move this over first. Can you see the letters and stuff?
Yes.
right now?
Yes.
Okay, so the way it works is the pendulum will move in certain directions, and then I have to interpret. It's either, there's one letter on each side, so it's either B or P, or B or P,
Okay.
or luck or money.
Should I get a piece of paper?
Yeah.
Okay. You
Is
can
that good?
also, yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. So let me stand up and ask first. Do you have a message for Grace that we can spell out on the board? I got a yes.
Yay, let's, what do you want to tell?
So now I have to kind of, all right. Can you see it okay?
Yes.
Do you have a message for Grace Lannon? Now, if you see this, I don't know if you can tell, it's only like swinging from the center to the yes. So this says yes, no.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And it's very clearly going from here to there. That's the yes. It's not swinging back and forth. Okay.
So that means, yes, they have a message for me.
Can you give me the first letter of the message for Grace Lannon? Okay, so it's
I
swinging.
feel it in my stomach.
You feel it? So it's swinging in the R. So let me just ask, is that an R? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, next letter.
I'm writing them down so we can figure out what it says. I see you moving.
I am trying to. So it's either an 8. Is that the letter S?
No.
No, it's a yes.
Oh, it is.
So are you saying RS? Does RS mean anything to you? Is it someone's initials? I feel like it's someone's initials.
That's what I was just thinking. I was like, is this a person or a guide or something? But it doesn't like stand out and to me like, oh, that's Reggie.
Okay, so is R somebody's first name? Can we spell that first name out, please? What's the letter that comes after the letter R? It's funny, I'm thinking and it's starting to swing. So are lucky.
I just keep hearing Robert. But I don't know who Robert is.
Is it Robert? I'm not getting, it says it's going luck and money. Is it luck and money attached to this first name? Look at that swinging. Let's go to the S. Now it's going back to luck and money. See that?
Mm. Real shit.
What's the next letter that comes after the letter S? We're going to start with the other word. S. What's the next letter that follows S?
It's okay, you guys. Let us know. I'm open. I'm ready to.
S-T. S-T? Okay. What letter comes after T? E. S-T-E? Okay. What letter comes after E? S-T-E, then what? T. Next letter after T. It's either E or R, Grace. What do you have? What are you writing?
Stetter. It would be like Stetter or Stet. Like it could be a last name. It doesn't have significance that I am aware of. You guys, let us know.
Can we be clear? Is there one? It keeps going. S. Go again. S. Next letter. T. Next letter. E. Like, see how it's only, see how it's kind of staying on one side?
Yeah.
Next letter. R. Next letter. Say that to me again, what I just said.
Stetter.
Did I say that the first time?
You said Stet. You said it was either E or R. The
Okay, so
second time you said R.
So we got the same thing twice.
Like Stetter.
Is that an S-T?
Is it like a stand for something? Like a
an acronym?
organization or something?
Says it's an acronym.
Stetter.
So ST can be ET, I don't know. See, sometimes, so that's an example that sometimes it's not that clear.
Yeah, it's not always a name.
Right.
So what would your next step be? Would you ask like the pendulum? Like, is that what you did? Like, is this an acronym?
Yes. And it said yes. So can you be more clear on the spelling of the message for Grace so that we can understand it? Okay, first letter. It already wants to go. Already wants to go. Look at that. It's S. Is that the first letter of a word? Can I have the next letter of the word that begins with S? S and then what letter, please? again, or like at E or S.
I hope it's not SS.
No, it's not. It's like R or male.
I'm crying.
Male? Is it male?
It feels like a masculine energy to me.
Male. It's showing it's because on the R there's a masculine, you know, the circle with the arrow, and then it says male.
I think so.
So now look at it.
Ooh, it's moving a lot more.
Can we have a clearer message for Grace? First letter. Get travel. Saying travel.
Mm.
Can we have another message, the next letter, please? I want something clear for her, please. A clear message. A. Next letter. Is it the letter R? Or is it male? Male.
A male. This is gonna be
A
my
male.
my new boyfriend.
Is it, does she have a male coming into her life? Look at that. Is it a friend that is a male? Is it a love interest that is a male? That's a yes, Grace.
We'll see. Does her name start with R? Is that what this is
That's
about?
what, well, it's pointing to male again. It's going right over to the R in the male. So is this male's name begin with an R? Is it Robert? Nope. Can you give me the next letter that after, does it start with R? What's the next letter after R? I thought so. I got I.
Is it gonna be Richard? Because I don't like that.
Yeah, but you know what? And now it's going right to C.
Maybe he's rich.
Oh yeah, you got luck and money. And then
I'm just joshing.
after C, what letter comes next for this person's name? R-I-C. It's going to H.
Rich.
Hold on. After H comes, are you saying Richard? Or Dick?
The BJs. The BJ spirit.
No,
is
I'm
here.
serious. Like, that's what we could have called in tonight for fun and like.
Honestly, that is hilarious.
So somebody named Richard, let me just ask if there's one final. Is there anything else that Grace needs to know tonight that you would like to tell her?
That's hilarious.
S. Is that correct? S. Next letter after S. E. Next letter.
And you're fucking with me.
I am not. I swear to God.
I know you're not. I know.
It's X.
Oh my God. The board is fucking trolling me. The board
You are so
board's
funny,
like, you need to
board.
get
And
laid.
it's saying, look at, you're so funny. And look at, yes, I am. Wait a minute. So
The
wait,
board's like,
we
you
talked
need
about
to
the
get
sex
laid.
guides. We talked about sex guides. Yeah. Is this like funny because we were talking about sex guides earlier?
They're like, no.
Yeah,
She's
like, yeah.
lonely.
Yeah. So wait, give me the letters that you got before ST. Thank you very
So
much.
we got luck and money and travel. And then we got the mail. We got S. So for the first thing was RS. And then it was STET. And you weren't sure if it was either E or R. Then the second time we got R. And then we got the Richard, the rich. And then the sex.
And
Sex.
we got rich. So, okay. You're going to meet somebody.
That is so funny.
So Grace has luck, travel, money, and sex coming into her life. Is that true?
They're like, no, sorry.
That is a yes.
I hope so. I would love to go on vacation.
That's a great message. Thank you so much. It's a great message. And it's fun. It's light. That's what,
Yeah, we're just trying to have some fun.
Right.
But I love that. I love that. And I'm open to receive all of those things.
That's
I would
excellent.
love a vacation. I would love to meet a hot rich guy.
And a Richard.
But not named Richard. I don't think I like that. It's
No,
like
it's,
too, unless that's like a older.
Yeah,
like
but
old for
Richard
me.
is sometimes expressed.
I know they're just fucking around. They're
Yeah.
just trying to
So
say
like the word, can I say the word dick?
of course, you can
Yeah,
swear
the
as
word
many times as you want.
The word Richard is a sophisticated dick. Think of it that way. Right.
I love that. That's so
Oh my
funny.
goodness. So
Well, Spirit, I'm ready to receive a plane ticket in the mail. And maybe I'll sit next to this man on the plane.
all right.
I love that. But things like that, it's like we're just playing around and stuff, but like things like that very well can be a real message. And when these things come up, I will 100% tell Suzanne. I'll tell you guys too, but
I can't wait.
It's
Yeah,
like
so
it can come through in a silly way and be a serious message.
So I'll do one for the collective now.
Yeah, and then we'll do our meditation. I know I'm taking a lot of your time up.
No, it's okay. This is fun. Can we please have a message for the collective?
So this is for anyone listening. This is a message for you from the board, from Suzanne, from Spirit.
Okay. Do you have a message for the collective tonight? All right. Do you want to spell that out, please? First letter.
It's moving the other way now. The other side of the board.
Feels like a T though. Is that the letter T? T. What's the first letter, please? Is it F? Let me move this a little. I gotta square it. Okay. Let's try it again. First letter for the message for the collective. Okay. First letter. Do you know where it's hitting?
I can't tell.
Love.
Love. Oh.
Is that the message? Love. Okay. Is there more?
Give us more, Spirit. Come on. But we love that. We love that.
I know.
We love you.
Okay. Next part of the message. First letter.
Only love is real.
Y. Next letter. This is crazy. Next letter. O. Next letter. U. Next letter. Is it G? Next letter. O.
Wait, so it's Y-O-U and then O?
Yeah, love you. And last letter. God, G-O-D. Wow. Next letter. The stone luck money. Is the message love you, love your God?
Or maybe it's like, love you from God.
Yeah, it is. It's just, it's an
Love
expression.
you, sign
love.
God.
This is a message of love to the
XOXO
collective
God.
from God.
I love that. It's beautiful.
That is. I thought it was going to be Happy Halloween. Thank you so much. Is there anything else? No.
That's enough for tonight.
Hey, look at
That's
that.
beautiful.
Did that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Spirit.
Isn't that nice?
I love that.
I didn't expect
Wait,
that.
wait. Go back to it for
After
a second.
sex and Richard.
Wait, will you go back to it for 1 second? The screen. Will you press that little Halloween
Okay.
thing for us?
Where is it? Right
Yeah,
there.
there you go. Press it. Yeah. That's what I was trying to have Suzanne do at the beginning, but I was missing my cue the whole time. But and then next to it are your real beautiful crystal balls, if people are curious. And thank you. Okay, that's all. That was awesome. I love that.
That was really nice because so I love that you got the like light one, but the collective got, because that is a really good message for right now too. Really
That's
good message
beautiful.
for right now. Well,
So
for
when
any
you're doing it, like, how does it feel for you? Like, do you feel energy moving through you, or is there any like physical kind of things that you pick up on when you're doing it?
It's more like clairvoyancy for me.
So in your mind.
Yeah, in my mind. Sometimes I know, like when it went from love to why, I knew what it was going to spell out. I didn't know it was going to say God though. I can guess. It's kind of like table tipping. You know, when you're doing table tipping, you start with a couple letters you have an idea of, and then your mind can connect with this. And sometimes I don't have to even talk to it. So if
Yeah,
I
it's
say,
just internal.
watch, I'm just going to say,
Yeah, and it responds.
yeah. So I said,
So
show me yes, I know in my
thoughts.
head. And if I'm guessing a word, it will say yes. So it becomes a conversation almost. I feel a little bit in my solar plexus right now.
I'm just curious if it feels at all different than like when you're doing a reading with the cards, or, you know, Reiki is a whole different thing, but at least with the readings, like if the energy, if it feels different to you, or just similar.
No, these tools, even still, as connected as I am to myself and how much clearer I am, I'm still, I don't know, there's something about even just like doing my own cards. I don't like to do my own cards. I don't like to do a lot of messages for myself because
It can be cloudy sometimes because you have those biases.
yeah,
Just like even
it
if
is.
we don't think we're being biased, we have the internal stuff of like, oh, well, I really want the outcome to be yes.
Well,
Or
right.
whatever.
And I asked a couple questions the other day that were kind of the old questions that I would ask. And I asked them and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't want to know anything. I don't need to know anything.
Yeah.
You know, the unknown. Because what's the known?
I think for me, like, this tool was really valuable, and I'm going to just show you guys and I think I showed you this to you, Suzanne, but something I do, like, but it was really valuable to me when I was like really sick, with just a lot of food allergies and like all this stomach problems. It helped me kind of like some people do, what is it called? Muscle testing, similar kind of concept, but it really helped me identify if this food or if this supplement or whatever was like helpful for me. So like I would be at the grocery store. I mean, a can of Coke is not the best example because we know it's not going to be good for me. But like you could hold up, you say you're trying to decide between probiotics and there's 50 million probiotics. You could hold up them to your body and have your body kind of show you if the vitamin's going to be good for you. Or you could bring your pendulum to the grocery store and be that person. But I'll show you real quick. I'm just going to take my headphones out because I'm going to have to stand up. But I think I've showed this to you, Suzanne. Can you see me?
I can see you.
My legs or
Yep.
can you? Oh. So basically what I'm doing is, I know you guys can't see my feet, but it's not entirely important. But maybe I'll just stand to the side. But basically your feet are planted like hip width apart and you're going to use your body as a pendulum. So your body is going to move a certain way for yes and a certain way for no. So you could use this tool like I said with like physical things, like is this good for me? But it could also be for like spiritual confirmation for yourself. But I'll ask like spirit, like with my body, like show me a yes. And I don't know if you can see on the camera, but like my body's like moving backwards.
Yes, I see it.
I'm not like trying, it's just moving. And then I'll ask, like I'll kind of reset and I'll ask spirit with my body, show me no.
Look at that.
And like, if I were to just like, oh yeah, I would go all the way to the ground. But like, it will move forward. When I first started doing this, it was like really almost scary to me because it would move really fast. And I didn't know what any of this was. So I was like, what the fuck is happening to me? But like my body would move in a circle or in another circle. So that could also be a way it can move, but it can move forward or backward. It's going to move however it works for you. But you could also just use your hands. That's usually what they do in the muscle
That's
test.
one too. Like, don't you do it with your fingers?
Just your hands, not your whole body. But that's another way to kind of get comfortable, like trusting your intuition and like receiving those yes or no answers.
And it's so important to remember that we are energy. Everything is energy, and connecting to ourselves in ways we were never taught because whatever reason.
It's just not commonplace, at least in America. Like,
and if it
in
feels,
other cultures, yeah, but not here.
if it feels right, then it's right.
Yes. Yeah, and learning to know what feels right to you, I think, is a big process, especially if you have any kind of like trauma, which everyone does. It's like easy to not trust yourself. So I think the pendulum and these tools like that Suzanne was talking about, like the boards and stuff, can be a nice way to build up that confidence. I think cards are also really helpful for that. Like to have something that can confirm it for you.
I like doing cards for other people. I do not like doing my own cards because I get in my head.
Yeah.
Or I just don't care anymore. Like I don't want to know anymore. But I you pull cards for me. Your cards are always right on. And then I have another friend that does cards for me and they're really right on. And that's about it.
Yeah, and I think like the tarot can be really cool because there are like specific set of symbology to it. So it's like, okay, this means that, and that can be helpful for beginners, but it can also be like very overwhelming. And then once you learn it, it's like Suzanne was saying, sometimes it's easy to get in your head because you're like, oh, this could mean all of these different things. And you can apply it. Like once you understand the symbology, you could apply it to anything. You could make anything mean something to you. So then it becomes like hard to trust. Like, is this true?
Yeah. And, I've gotten messages from the boards that have led me, like, just because you get a message doesn't mean you act on it.
Yeah.
Like treat it as entertainment, but in the process of it, how does it feel?
Does it feel good? Yeah.
And the energy of a situation can change instantaneous.
Oh yeah, something could be good for you, and then the next day it's not.
Right.
So that's like with the literal food stuff. That's a very easy example to understand of that. Oh, like one day I eat eggs, and the next day I cannot have eggs.
There's a doctor in Massachusetts that does that. Like, you
Oh, really?
go to the office and he goes through a food check with you, with your
Oh,
body.
that's
Your
so
body
cool.
tells him, he does exactly what you did. Tell him, eggs, and it'll say no. And I really believe in that. I really do. I've never tried it, but I've heard so much about it. And
Oh, and you could do it on your own now that you know how.
yes. And that's, again, connecting with yourself, that in itself is a process, a healing process. But once you do, and you really understand and you feel things you've never felt before, because most of the things we do were taught to us. And these are things that can't be taught to you.
It's an experience. It's experiential. Like you can't, like I could explain to you, Suzanne could explain to you forever, like how to do it. But until you like experience spirit communicating to you, like you still might not understand what we're talking about.
But I'm seeing nature, I'm seeing the woods, and that's really the best place just to connect, period. Go sit in the woods.
Yeah, go outside, even if it's in your yard, even if it's at like a park, whatever, like that is the best. And being in silence, like no music, no nothing. Like I love guided meditations. I create them all the time. We're going to be doing one today. But I think if we really want to tune in, a big helpful thing is silence, like just being able to hear your thoughts.
Silence is important. We keep ourselves so busy that when we do become silent, we're uncomfortable because we can finally hear ourselves. But I love being alone. I love being in silence. I never put the TV or the radio on when I'm alone.
I used to be really scared of it as a kid. And I think that's because I was so clairaudient. I didn't know it. Like I was just hearing all these things and it would be like behind me, like talking at me. And as soon as I got a Walkman, I was just like listening to music literally nonstop because I was like trying to block these things out. But now I'm like trying to turn it back up.
You want to hear it. So that's interesting. You say things you're scared of because that's what we're going to be working on.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm just going to kind of explain to people what we're going to be doing, and then we're going to get into it. And ideally, we'll be here about 25 minutes, half an hour. So let's see how it goes. I'm very bad at keeping time. But so I asked Suzanne to do this with me. Suzanne is also a Reiki practitioner, so we're going to be bringing some energy through. You might feel things, you might experience things in your body, you might visualize the things that we're describing, or you might not. You might just be relaxed, you might fall asleep. All those things are normal. But I encourage people to do this like sitting up or, on a couch or something where you're somewhat lucid. Get comfortable, but if you're going to lie down, you probably will fall asleep. So, but yeah, I'm just going to briefly explain what we're going to do, and then we're going to get into it. Does that sound good, Suzanne?
Sounds great.
So tonight we're going to be doing a meditation, a healing journey based on the idea of like facing your fears. And we're really using like the landscape of Halloween and that energy of this time of year, costumes, remembering, nostalgia, all those kinds of feelings. We're really using that as like the landscape for us to receive these healings tonight. So we're really going to use the idea of like facing your fears. Suzanne's going to be taking us through a guided visualization. So you're going to be describing things to us to picture in your mind. If you've never done that and you feel like it's hard, it's okay. I always just tell people, if you get distracted, just focus on your breathing. That's all you need to do. And again, you might feel energy flowing through you. So you might feel tingly or cold, or if anything weird comes up, send me an email. I got you. But Suzanne's going to take us through it. And then at the end, I'm going to have us do a little bit of like a clearing around those fears. And is there anything you want to share about it before we start?
No, I based it on, I call the deep, dark things within us the basement. After all this healing work I do, I think my basement's clear. And then I find a box under the stairs that I didn't realize was there, and there's things in it. So I based that on that idea. I recently went back to my childhood home after 25 years of somebody else living in it, and revisited it. And, I had some attachment to it, and I released that. And it was really unexpected. It really healed a lot of inner child for me, and a lot of things that were kind of stuck. So I think revisiting old places, good memories or not, they're important to revisit with the memory that we visited them with. Meaning, if we were young, go back. It's important to remember who we've been, because we can't become who we're meant to be until we remember who we were, and move through that stuff if there's anything that we haven't released. So I just thought this would be a fun way of, and a therapeutic way to kind of move through old memories and releasing fears, because a lot of our fear is rooted through our inner child experiences.
Yeah. And I've been talking a lot about the root chakra recently, going through that on the podcast. And that is a lot about like these fears, these primal kind of things that are within us. And a lot of that is like established, within our inner child. So that's kind of like when we're born to like 12, 13 years old, a lot of that energy stays stagnant in the body. And when we're not addressing those fears, they can show up in many different ways. So maybe Suzanne's scared of Michael Myers, but it's really showing up in her life in other ways. So tonight we're just going to be kind of using the visualization as a tool. And yeah, I'm really excited. I think it's going to be cool.
Let's do it.
So I'm just going to open up the space, and then I'll have you start, and then I'll just close out. I think when you are talking, I'm just going to mute myself if there's like weird noise in the background.
Okay.
So
do we want music?
I don't think so, because I put on music on Zoom sometimes, and then you can't hear it very well.
I get it. And we're going to send Reiki through this as well, correct?
Yes. So I'm just going to have you with me. Close your eyes, Suzanne. And if you want, you can bring your hand to your heart, or bring your hands into Gassho prayer position. And we just ask to open up healing Reiki energy to support this meditation here tonight. Any energy that we move or shift for myself or Suzanne or for anyone listening, we ask that energy be to released into the highest heaven, to be transformed into usable energy. We ask to open up a portal through all time and space, so that any energy that we shift is able to be released out that portal. It cannot stay within this space or within this recording. And we call in our angels and our guides to support us with this work here tonight. Just imagine yourself envisioned in a big glass pillar of light, and it's shining all around you, protecting you, shielding you. So know that any energy that we move in today that you are shielded, you are protected, and you are only receiving what is for your highest good in this moment. So be it, so it is. Okay. So, are you ready?
Ready.
All right, I'm just going to mute myself and I'll come back on when it's my time.
Okay, get comfortable. Close your eyes. Feel the earth beneath your body. Take a deep breath, filling your belly with air. Exhale and release. Take another deep breath in, a little deeper than before. Exhale. Sink a little more into the earth beneath you. Take one more deep breath in. And as you exhale, feel your body beginning to totally relax. From the top of your head down to your eyes, past your nose. Relax your jaw. Relax your shoulders, all the way down your arms, right to your fingertips. Relax your chest area, your belly, your hips. Relax through your thighs, your knees, down to your ankles, through your feet, and right down to the tips of your toes. You are walking down a neighborhood street, a street that is familiar to you. It is nighttime. The sky is a deep blue, almost black. As you walk along, you can feel the pavement under your feet mixed with the sound of rustling leaves. The night air is crisp, and the smell of autumn is in the air. It smells sweet, but mixed with dirt and dry leaves and the faint smell of a campfire. As you walk along the street, there are many houses on each side of the street. They are well lit. Halloween decorations are abundant on porches and front steps. There are jack-o'-lanterns, skeletons, spiders. Cobwebs and colorful lights are strewn in bushes. As you approach the cul-de-sac of this street, you notice your surroundings begin to get darker. The ground beneath your feet turns to dirt and stone. You find yourself on what seems like a long dirt driveway. There is a house at the very end of this long dirt driveway. It's a house you know, a house you may have lived in, or one you visited often as a child. The house is dark. There are no lights on, not inside, not outside. You approach the front of the house and take the steps to the front door. Pause and look at the front door. Note the color, the material it's made of, and the details of the doorknob. Find the doorbell and ring the doorbell. Hear the sound of the ring echo through the house from the outside of the door. There is no answer. Look under the doormat for a key. Pull up the doormat and feel around the dark steps. Find the cold metal of the key with your hand. Put the key in the lock and open the door. Take your time. It is dark. The lock snaps and the door is unlocked. The door creaks as it opens and you step inside the house. It is pitch black inside the house. You know this house. You've lived in it or you visited it many times. Feel around the entryway walls for a light switch. You find one. Flip the switch. There is still no light. Feel around as you make your way down the entry hall. The hardwood floors creak under your feet. Up ahead, the moonlight is shining through a window, giving you a little bit of light. You see a door. What does it look like? Open the door. It is still very dark in front of you. You sense it as a basement. See the stairs and the darkness below you. The mustiness of the basement hits your nose. Feel around for a light switch. You find one and flip it. A bare light bulb hanging on a wire comes on at the bottom of the steps. Make your way down the narrow stairs. You know where you are going. You've been here before. Walk down the stairs. Hold on to the handrail as you make your way slowly down the stairs. They are creaky and narrow. When you reach the bottom of the stairs, turn right. You are entering a part of the basement that you know, but you have not been there for a very, very long time. In fact, it's been so long that you're surprised how much you remember about it as you stand there in this moment. Walk toward the back of the room and stop. Laying in the darkness, deep in the basement, hiding but covered up by some old curtains, is the box. You continue to remember why you are here. There is writing scribbled on the box with a black Sharpie. It says, "Fears. This is why you are here. To open the box of fears." Take a step forward, drag the box out from under the stairs, and open it.
And I invite you to take a few deep breaths. Just breathing in through your nose. Exhale out your mouth. A familiar feeling, a pit in your stomach. And something inside you feels like slightly uncomfortable with this box in front of you. But you know there's also something in there for you. So when you're ready, you can imagine yourself peeking inside and seeing what's in the box. And inside of this box is all these different old aspects of yourself, different costumes, different masks that you have worn, both literally and figuratively. But there's one special costume in that box for you to put on tonight. If you can imagine yourself sifting through the box and finding something very special. And pulling that item out of the box. And for each of you, this item might look different. Maybe it's a robe or a mask or a piece of jewelry. But it's connected to a part of you that you might be too scared to face or too scared to show to others. And although you feel kind of uncomfortable, you also know what a relief it will be to finally acknowledge these things, to finally release these fears. And when you're ready, in your mind, you can imagine yourself putting on this item of clothing, this costume, this mask. And at first, it feels very weird. You might feel cold or confused. But as you draw this item closer to you, as you place it on your body, something changes in the room. And from the corner, you see a bright light turn on. This is the brightest light you feel like you've ever seen. And you're trying to locate where it's coming from, but you don't see any lamps or any windows. You just see this almost blinding light moving towards you and taking up a larger and a larger amount of space in the room. This light moving closer to you, you start to feel a sense of calm, of peace. And this light begins to shine on you and all around you. Leaving you with the sense of safety, of protection. And with this new energy surrounding you, you feel comfortable enough to look in the mirror and to face those fears directly. And with the help of this light, you can see the staircase once again as you walk up those tiny stairs and back into the living room. You know exactly where you're going, guided by this light. You find the bathroom. And you see in front of you is a large mirror. And you take a look at yourself. What is it that you fear? What part of yourself are you too afraid to see, to know, to remember? We'll stay here a moment as you look into your reflection. Meeting the fears within. And you feel a sensation of relief. It's okay to let go. And as you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you can see this costume, you can see this mask begin to fade away as you meet your truest, authentic self in the mirror. And when you feel that relief, you feel something has shifted inside of you. Continuing to stare into your own reflection, your light becomes brighter and brighter behind you. And that truest soul version of self shines brighter and brighter. And you hear something in the other room. You hear someone walking through the front door. You hear familiar voices and laughter. As the lights turn on in the whole house now. And you're surrounded by love, the absence of fear. And you feel more and more comfortable. And the voices are getting closer and closer. As you're greeted by your loved ones in spirit. Perhaps family or friends, maybe your spirit guides, your angels. And they greet you with such love. And you're unsure of what you were even afraid of in the first place. As all these feelings of joy are pumped through your body, pumped through the space. And just listening if there's any messages they want to share with you here tonight. And in the distance, in the other room, you start to hear the phone ring. And you know it's for you. You walk over to the phone, pick it up, and it's your best friend, your family, your partner, whoever you love the most in this moment. And they're on the other line. They're asking you if you're ready to go out. If you have your costume ready. If you're ready to have fun tonight. And you know you're ready, but you don't need a costume anymore. You don't need to hide behind any masks. Be any different than who you truly are. As you go out amongst the bright lights, the music, the candy, going out as your truest self, your highest self, without fear and only love. And when you're ready, you can imagine yourself back on that porch. This time the light's shining bright. As you step out of the house, saying goodbye to all the spirits that came for you. Giving thanks to yourself for showing up, for being willing to release. And you can imagine yourself walking down those steps back onto the street as you join the night. I'm just going to have us take a few more deep breaths. Breathing in through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. When you're ready, you can come back to your body, all the way back to your body. You can slowly begin to move till you're ready to open your eyes. I think we should just do a quick energy clearing if you want to do it with me.
Yeah, do you want to put your witch hat on?
Oh, yeah. We were gonna wear costumes and we forgot.
Because we don't need
We
them.
we don't need them anymore. It's our metaphor.
But I really
But
like.
we're gonna wear them anyway. You can't see my full hat. Oh, yours is so cool. Mine has a bow on it.
Oh, that's so cute. That's pretty. It's a pretty hat. Yes.
I love that.
I do too. I love mine. I love yours. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I got it like
Yeah.
at Target or some shit.
Did you really?
I got it a few years ago at like either Spirit or Target or something like that. But it's lasted.
I got mine in Salem,
I
Massachusetts.
love it so much.
And they
It's
had
like psychedelic.
Yeah, it's like Poochie Witch. I call it Poochie Witch.
I love that.
But they had all different kinds. They don't make them anymore. This one woman, local woman, made them, and she made aprons to match.
Oh, that's so
Really
cute.
cute.
So that was awesome. Thank you so much for doing that with me.
It was fun.
I just wanted to do like a little clearing. So what I do is I'll just go from the top to the bottom. But we don't have to do the same thing. But I just think, my intention is having people kind of bring these ideas forward of like what they're kind of releasing. So if anyone has like intentions, they could write them down, or just thinking about them of like things they want to let go of. And that can be centered around fear or whatever. But I thought we could just do like a quick cleanse. So I'm just gonna do it in silence. So maybe we'll do like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. So for those listening, all you can just focus on your breath. I think it's good actually. Cool. Yeah, they had me do something different. They're just showing me they're calling it reset template. So it looks like some kind of how to explain this? It looks like a children's map. I don't know how to explain it. Like, have you ever seen a map, but it's like a kid's version where there's not tons of details? That's like kind of what it looks like to me, like little squiggly lines. And then there's certain points that have to be shifted.
The map, that makes sense. So a map, right? And listen, when you heal the past, you shift the present and you change the future.
Yes.
So there you go.
Truth. Yeah, it's like if you were to put like a hole, it looks like a hole punch to me. Like there's like little, if you have a 3-ring binder, there's little hole punches and they have to be punch in the same spot to line up correctly. That's what it looks
Yeah.
like to me. Like we're moving the little holes so they line up correctly so I can turn the pages without ripping out the paper.
That's an excellent.
That's the visual that I'm receiving,
Fit
which
with
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah, it does. It's a really clear metaphor
Yeah.
for alignment,
Moving it down a little bit.
changing, yeah, because you remember like when you would punch holes, I don't know if like when I was in high school and we go in the office because that was the only place you get a hole punch. And you punch the holes. If you didn't do it right, it wouldn't fit correctly
Exactly.
in the notebook. So it's important to make sure, and then sometimes you got to punch them twice to get them right. Well, here we are, punch them twice.
Just a little extra punch.
Yep.
And then they do make those little stickers if you fuck it up too many times.
Do they still make those? Does anybody?
I don't know if anyone uses 3-ring binders anymore, but if they do.
Yep.
Well, amazing. Thank you. How did the last part feel for you?
It was really interesting. I loved it. I thought it was great. I pulled out the Michael Myers mask I left on the floor. And I pulled out a Glinda. I kept seeing it before I even opened the box. It was pink and it was a Glinda costume. So it's like, she's a good witch. And
I have a magnet of her and I just pulled it out earlier today.
Did you really? Of course.
I did.
And then I was back in my childhood home. So what's interesting is before we started tonight that people don't know about, you mentioned my dad. My dad is in spirit. And you said, I feel like he wants to come through.
I felt him a lot in here.
When he passed, I had a dream that about a week later, and he called me to tell me he was okay. And that was really like how I used to speak with him, because my parents were divorced and he wasn't allowed in the house. Not for anything reason. It was just because it was a whole separate thing.
So he called the house phone.
He would call me every day. So when you said the phone rings and it was him. And
I didn't plan that, Suzanne. I was just listening, just seeing what they wanted me to say.
Yeah. So I knew that was a little wink.
I got chills.
Isn't that cool?
I love that.
Yeah,
for me, I was seeing when you described it to me before we started, I was seeing my friend from high school's house that I would go smoke weed at. But then when you took us through it, I was in one of my childhood homes. I don't remember. I moved a lot, so I don't remember which one it was, but it was in Connecticut. And I remember one Halloween, my grandma came to visit and we made, and she's still alive, but we made skeletons, like a DIY project out of, I don't know if you ever done it, but you make them out of old milk cartons and stuff, like the big plastic gallon jugs, and you can cut them out and you can make a skeleton. And I have a very distinct memory of doing that with my grandma, but I was in that basement and I remember the water heater thing so distinctly in there. And I remember I hung the skeleton on the water heater and my dad was like, you can't do that because it's gonna melt or whatever. So I was seeing that in my vision. And then when we took the box part open, I felt like the costume for me looked like some kind of pharaoh or something. It was golden, like a very cheesy costume of a pharaoh with this fake snake head kind of thing. That's what I was seeing.
Wow.
But I'm curious to go back and listen to it because I like to do that work because I feel like it's easier to drop in.
And I did a lot. I did Reiki the whole time.
I could feel it.
Could you? My hands were really warm. They still are very warm. And I was very guided on emotional healing symbol. Seiheki. Twice. So, it really hit the inner child for sure. That's nice. It's good. It was fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. And please let us know how that was for y'all. And if you want to do Reiki with Suzanne, you can, I'll put your email in the show notes and your Instagram so people can find you. If they want to do a session, or you teach classes as well. And yeah, I love that. Suzanne and I are talking about maybe doing some kind of event. So if this sounds fun to you guys, please let me know, because I want to know. But something where we did readings for people, some kind of energy healing circle type of thing. So if that sounds fun, please tell us, and then we'll plan.
Sounds fun to me.
It will be fun either way, but I like to get people's feedback. So, well, anything else you want to share with us, Suzanne, before we close?
No, I think we're good. I think the circle is complete.
Yes. Yeah. Again, any energy that we moved or shifted, we have to be released. Calling your energy back to you, calling my energy back to me, everyone's energy back to them. So be it, so it is. Well, thank you. And then this will come out right before Halloween, so I'll let you know.
Awesome.
And yeah, thank you so
Great.
much. I loved it.
Thank you. That was really fun.
All right, y'all. See you in the next one.